Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of RSAC 2026 in San Francisco. It's been very busy yesterday, day 1. Actually, some people even started showing up on Sunday, but now it's day 2. And we're back here at theCUBE with back-to-back coverage of this conference. And today, and our first segment is going to be about AI, agent identity, access, and how do you treat agents as humans. Joining me today is Andre Durand, who is the founder and CEO of Ping Identity. Andre, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, thank you.
So Andre, tell us a little bit about yourself and what drove you to become the founder and create this organization, and tell us about Ping Identity.
So thank you. So 23 years ago, I came across what is now kind of a famous cartoon of no one knows you're a dog on the internet. That was late 2001. And I had taken a little bit of time off from a company I had founded prior to that. And it occurred to me that's a problem. That how could we do anything meaningful on the internet if we're not certain who is actually on the other end, of the call or the transaction or whatever it is. And so Ping Identity was founded early 2002, so 23 years ago now, with a mission to help secure your digital identity on the internet, and your use of your accounts and your information with everyone that you interact with. And so roll forward, we protect about 8 billion accounts globally. We focus on the global 5,000 in every vertical. About 60% of our business is securing the customer experience as you log in to airlines, banks, retailers, government institutions. About 40% is securing the workforce and partners as they access internal systems. But it's all about how do we enable a really frictionless experience to the extent we can, but also maintain a very high level of security.
Right, and it's interesting because in the past 23 years, compliance and regulations and the whole space of security, identity management, access, etc., it's all changed.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times over. You started the business right around the time when cloud was becoming a big thing, and now we're in the era of AI. And that's really what I want to talk to you about, because clearly agentic AI is happening. I feel that a lot of organizations are getting ahead of their skis, rolling things out, and we don't really know what these agents are really doing, what they have access to, how they're being controlled, how they could even become tools for cyber criminals to leverage against you. So tell us more about that. What's your view of agents? How should I as an end user consider agents?
Well, so it's a whole new world. I would start with saying that the way in which we secure our systems, who has access to what, at its core is all founded on the notion of knowing who is acting. So there is no security without identity. You can't secure what you can't identify.
Absolutely.
And agents now are new actors, if you will, in the system. So we call them non-human identity. We have human identities and non-human identities. These non-human identities work 24/7. They can act with a speed that's different than humans.
Right.
We might have 10x or 100x or who knows how many more of them. And they can now take action on systems of record if we allow them. So they can automate things internally. So because of that, we need to treat them with the same level of diligence and care and security that we treated our human actors. We need to authenticate them. We need to know when they're created. We need to have observability if they're acting in our systems. We need to authorize what they can do and not do. From a perspective of security in humans, take for example, employees and others, there is an accountability to humans for bad action. In the agentic world, there's no accountability for an autonomous agent taking action. And so for that reason, the level of security and the level of scrutiny that we've referred to as zero trust it needs to come much faster to the agentic world. We've been on a journey towards zero trust with humans, but the trust gap hasn't been abused as badly as it has been.
Right, and I think that's really how AI agents are sort of reshaping the way we work. We use them as our own personal executive assistants in many ways, or sometimes, I would say some functions will be replaced. Let's talk about traceability, because I think it's totally reshaping again this notion of zero trust, or if not throwing a lot of the concepts away to redefine what that trust or zero trust should be. So traceability, why is it important? If I'm watching you today, right now, why should I care as an IT leader or as an AI leader, why should I care about this traceability? What's behind that? Is it governance, is it compliance, is it just good, having best practices? What are the risks of not having that traceability in managing what will become very quickly hundreds of thousands of agents making decisions and interacting with your clients?
Well, we can't have any actor in our systems dealing with systems of record where there's no traceability of what their actions or the decisions are. That doesn't make sense. And so, I think the notion of the principles of zero trust do apply here. There need to be guardrails on agentic that manages their life cycle, that manages their entitlement, that appropriately assigns stewardship, if you will, or ownership of the agent and the policies. As actors in the system that are acting autonomously, again, working with our systems, accessing our data on behalf of, all of the principles of either zero trust and or great identity security need to apply, but they need to apply at a scale and a speed that we've not seen before.
Right.
The runtime nature of agentic is of a scale that we've not seen before.
So let's put this in context. Tell us about some of your customers and how they've actually applied your platform, and what are you seeing at this stage of what may not be necessarily early implementations, but certainly we're early in the cycle considering what agentic will probably be doing in the next year or 2 years.
So over the course of the last year, we've met with over 200 of our customers. These are large financial institutions, these are transportation companies, these are retailers. Most of the interest right now, the early interest, is in detecting and securing what we refer to as the agentic channel. So we've had the web channel, and then along came the mobile channel of interaction. Of course, prior to that, we had the call center channel, the voice channel. Right. Now we have the agentic channel. So your notion that your personal agent acting on behalf of can go out to a company and do some research for you or make a recommendation or want to scan information on products and services, that's now the agentic channel. Right. So our customers are interested in knowing, is that a human who just showed up? Is that an agent that showed up? If that's an agent, on behalf of who? Is that who have an account with us already so we actually could identify who that individual is? And they're wanting to secure call it the web chat, if you will. That's the first most. They're wanting to leverage agentic to have conversations with their customers and consumers. Right. They need to make sure that that agent is only accessing the right information, not everyone's information. So that's where most of the interest is right now. This week, and actually today, we announced our new agentic core capability. This is the extension of the Ping platform to help, as I said, secure the entire life cycle, to authenticate and to authorize agents working within our environments, doing things like what I described, securing the agentic channel.
Well, this is very interesting. I certainly have interacted with multiple agents recently. I remember going around for about an hour with one agent for an airline. I will not name the airline. It was very clear that it was an agent, and then they were trying to get to a human, and then it would reset after an hour or something. So, quite not there yet, but I can see how, with a few tweaks, it would be very, very efficient to help with very simple type of functions. Well, for an airline, it's going to be adjusting a reservation, things like that. Now, for financial transactions or anything that has to do with healthcare, we get into a different world, the world of compliance. What's your take on it? Clearly, you're ahead of the game with your platform. You're already powering business processes that leverage agents, having access to all sorts of records, and of course, engaging with end users. So, how do you view the compliance and governance piece of it? And are there some maybe early learnings that you've observed from your early implementations?
So I think everything that relates to governance of humans will apply to governance of agents. And it begins with knowing what agents are operating within your environment, so being able to discover and inventory, in essence, all the agents across your landscape, and agents are being built in multiple clouds right now, so a large enterprise might have a dozen different locations in which agents have been created and are acting throughout their system. So step number one is manage the life cycle of the agent. Step number two is we're assigning certain rights or permissions or entitlements for those agents to do things, to access things on our systems. And there needs to be good governance and controls over what permissions and what entitlements, and who is the custodian of those agents, so that humans have accountability for agents that aren't behaving correctly or maybe have been scoped permissions too broadly. So everything around governance of access that apply to humans is going to apply to agents, but it actually goes one step further than that. And it's what we refer to as the runtime control plane. Autonomous actors, if you will, in our systems that can make decisions and actually take action on systems of record. Circumstances change in real time. And so we're actually going to need to be able to authorize their actions. That goes one step beyond, what did we permission them to do a month ago or 2 months ago? Now they're actually taking action on systems. And we need the decisioning to be a real-time or runtime decision based upon all the context, all of the signals and data at that moment in time. So we're moving from more of a static, kind of a governance, pre-provision entitlements to a just-in-time, just enough, real-time or runtime decision.
Yes, just-in-time governance almost. Yes. I think this is fundamental. I don't think I've heard it put in so many clear words recently. And there are multiple layers of governance and compliance, access to data that's clean, et cetera, which is a big assumption. We're not there yet, I can assure you that. But for some specific processes, I can see how you can really have a pretty good domain of data that's clean, that's usable, that's compliant, and agents can do a good job. What I'm hearing you say, though, is very fundamental, is you're treating agents just like humans. They are essentially the same. They need to be treated exactly the same with one difference. They're maybe more like kids. You need a parent, which is where the just-in-time decision-making or changes will come into play. No, you're not going to do that. That's really not a good idea.
The guardrails need to be tighter. The speed with which they can act, their autonomous nature, and the fact that there is no consequence for an agent that does something that we believe to be worst case malicious, much less naive as a child might make an action. So you can't have actors in our system dealing with systems of record able to take action on systems and not have exceptionally tight guardrails. The consequence that has existed in humans interacting with systems has allowed us to extend a certain level of trust. They wouldn't do it, they could do it, but they wouldn't do it because the consequence was there. With agents acting in our system, there's no equivalent of a consequence for something that we deem to be, again, not malicious, maybe shy of malicious, but damaging to the company. So for that reason, the guardrails need to be much tighter.
Yeah, and I firmly believe that this is the biggest issue, because in the end, you're always responsible for as a company. As a corporate entity, you're responsible for your actions, the actions of your company, the actions of your employees. Well, now, it would be way too easy to say, oh, it's the agents that did it.
That's right. You won't be able to advocate that to say, the agent made a decision, your brand. Now, companies' brands are at stake. And they have a new principal actor, again, that can act autonomously to provide incredible speed and efficiency. But because there is not the same level of consequence, the level of trust that we bestow these agents needs to be zero trust. This is where all of a sudden the principles of zero trust, just in time, just enough, contextually aware, real-time decisions on can that action actually take place. These are not optional in the agentic space. Not to say they were optional per se in great security, but we've taken a while to get there and it's complicated. Here we need to move much quicker.
Right, just like you wouldn't let drunk kids fly a plane, you're not going to let agents run loose and make all sorts of decisions, and that could impact even somebody's life. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Type of applications. We have a couple of minutes left here. What would be your advice for our viewers? What is the thing you want them to take away from this conversation? What should they do next as they think about the next time they get this call, hey, we have this AI project, I need your perspective on it, or help me do this, help me do that. What should they think about first?
Well, while I highly encourage experimentation of the what's possible, what we actually put into production now, and the level of care and diligence and duty to ensure that we have the right structure, the right frameworks, the right guardrails on agentic, to be responsible stewards of the trust that we've earned with our customers in our brand.
Right.
It cannot be an afterthought. This is now a conversation that requires a lot of care and diligence. So while we're all compelled to move fast, and there's incredible advantage, competitive advantage, to the level of efficiency and scale that we can get out of the agentic landscape, it's not to be done carelessly. This is where now all the security principles and the right foundation, the right, as you said, clean data, decisioning framework, agentic governance, all of these agents need to be harnessed appropriately to make sure that we don't have rogue things that are unexplainable impacting our brand and our companies.
Yes, and full traceability, obviously, so you can always improve and go back and figure out what happened. So,
that's right.
Well, Andre, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And to our viewers, thank you for watching us. Stay tuned for the next one. RSAC 2026, I'm Christophe, Bertrand, Principal Analyst at theCUBE Research.